Shalom and welcome back to Talking Torah. I'm Rabbi Ravid and I'm here with Rabbi Klein.
Shalom, everyone.
And we are so excited to be back together. The last time we met, we spoke about Kitniyot, and that got over 300 views because people were really interested in the conversation in advance of Passover about these new rules about now we can eat corn, now we can eat rice, and so on. And it got us thinking about really the complexities that exist within the conservative movement, what it means to care about Jewish law, to care about halakha, to care about tradition, and to also be looking forward and wondering how things evolve. And it's very appropriate that we talk about the conservative movement today because we have one of, if not the leader of the conservative movement coming to the Merrick Jewish Center this coming Monday, May 23rd. Chancellor Arnold Eisen, the Chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, is going to be speaking to us as part of our annual Mahler Lecture, and it's going to really be a great opportunity, not only for the members of our synagogue, but really people from all over the South Shore of Long Island to hear Chancellor Eisen speak about what it means to be a Jew and also what it means to be a conservative Jew. Now, Rabbi Klein, you've been a conservative rabbi longer than I have. And so I think that in some ways you've seen the evolution of the conservative movement in a different way than I have. And so I wondered if you could share some thoughts about the complexities that exist within the conservative movement as you see them.
Thank you, first of all, Rabbi Tillis. I think that from generation to generation, what conservative Jews always have to get reaccustomed to, is the evolving nature of Judaism as we look at it within the context of conservative Judaism. Change and evolution, for some people, are off-putting, and yet, as a great rabbi who had the position at the Temple Israel of Great Neck, Rabbi Mordechai Waxman of blessed memory, said long time ago in one of the classic conservative texts, he spoke about Judaism, or conservative Judaism, being an amalgam of tradition and change.
Right.
That change has always been a part of the Jewish tradition. I would imagine that anyone listening to this video and any member of our congregation probably wouldn't want to go back 2,000 years ago and participate in worship in the synagogue, in the temple, by offering sacrifices. So that's just one change. There have been thousands of changes, really, and modifications and evolutions in the Jewish tradition over time. We've gone through the women issues. We've gone through the issue of how we embrace the LGBT community. We've gone through the issues of driving on Shabbat. We've gone through the issue of Kitniyot. We've gone through so many of them. But the hallmark of the conservative movement has always been to be courageous enough to confront these questions, these very, very big questions. Even, for instance, the question that was posed a long time ago. The Torah reading for this Shabbat says that someone who is a Kohen cannot marry a divorced woman. Now, a long time ago, 70 years ago, it became the position of the conservative movement that a Kohen is permitted to marry a divorced woman. Now, why? Because there's a certain sense that law of the Torah may have spoken well to the people in that time, 3,000 years ago, but just to us today seems to be somewhat wrong, just wrong. And it had to give way to some kind of deeper meaning found in the entirety of the spirit of Torah. So, one of the unnerving aspects of being a conservative Jew is that you can't put aside an issue and say, well, I don't want to talk about that, because being a conservative Jew requires you to talk about these issues, face them, and see what in the tradition can allow you to confront them creatively, but yet with a great respect for the tradition, because we do believe tradition has a veto power.
Right, and you said the word courageous, and I think that's a great word that the conservative rabbis have always confronted these issues with courage, but they've also confronted them with caution. They're courageous while they're also cautious at the same time, because they know, and we all know, that the tradition that we hold is a very fragile tradition, and it's lasted for the treasure that we hold in our hands, which is our tradition. We have a great responsibility to maintain it and to protect it. And so we can't just be willy-nilly about what decisions we make. You see, and I think that's a critique that often falls on the conservative movement, that, you decide you don't want to eat kitniot anymore, so you say that you won't eat kitniot anymore. But if you read the teshuvah about the kitniot, you read the decision that was laid out and presented by the Committee of Jewish Law and Standards as part of the conservative movement, it's actually very cautious about what exactly you can do. Same with driving, same with egalitarianism. All of these teshuvot that have really pushed the envelope and helped Judaism evolve and the conservative movement evolve are very much in line with the texts of our tradition.
Right. Now, look, you weren't even born yet when the issue of women rabbis came to light. No,
nearly born.
Nearly only counts in horseshoes.
Nearly born. No, I was nearly born.
Nearly born. But in any event, but that was an issue that took perhaps 10 years minimally to resolve. Very, very acrimonious debates about the issue. As most of these issues, these were not easily resolved because they did create a tension between tradition and modernity, and no one wanted to ignore tradition. No one wanted to take away the voice of tradition. The question was, could tradition in some way embrace a change, such as women rabbis? So look what's happening today in modern Orthodoxy. In the last 10 years, the issue of women as rabbis has emerged as a very significant issue in modern Orthodoxy, but the only reason it's being discussed there is because conservative rabbis back in the 1970s began that discussion and framed it in a halachic context, the context of Jewish law. So these discussions that go on from generation to generation really allow us to, in a sense, renew Judaism, which it must be renewed if it is going to be a living presence in our lives. And I think that to the credit of Chancellor Eisen, I think that what he has tried to do since he became Chancellor, and I remember when he came here, I guess it's about 10 years ago, I forget, to be introduced to the South Shore community as he was taking on the responsibilities of Chancellor. To his credit, he has tried to find the ways in which Jewish tradition can be embracing of what modern ethics, morality, and culture have embraced. And that has moved the movement, not always in the way that I would want it to be moved, but that's not the issue. The issue is that the conservative movement is much bigger than me or you, and that it is designed to be a relevant movement because tradition and change have to walk that journey together.
And I think it's even bigger than the movement. I think it's conservative ideology. We have a conservative movement which has many long-standing institutions that have been around for over 100 years in the United States. One of them, the Jewish Theological Seminary. But these institutions, I would say that the thoughts that the modern Orthodoxy are grappling now are part of the conservative ideology. That a lot of the ways that the Reform movement has changed over the last number of years is part of the conservative ideology. And so, yeah, our movement kind of centered around the conservative ideology at a time when it was brand new, but I think now one of the wonderful aspects of the conservative ideology is it has become a part of all strands of modern Judaism, including modern Orthodoxy.
Yeah, I think where modern Orthodoxy is emerging into modernity, it is because of the influence of conservative Judaism, and because people in modern Orthodoxy, some, I'm thinking of Rabbi Avi Weiss, for instance, who has the greatest respect for halacha, the Jewish law, but at the same time understands that there is built into halacha, into Jewish law, the capacity to embrace change, to evolve in halachic ways. And that has been the way of the conservative movement. But look, our people will have the opportunity to hear Chancellor Eisen talk about this and other topics on Monday night. I love the choice of topic. Why be Jewish? You know, being Jewish today is more than our biology. It's more than the choice some people make to become Jews through conversion. It's a choice every Jew makes. Why be Jewish? Why should I care? Why should I be engaged and involved in this religious tradition that has been so extraordinarily important to the world? Why should I choose to cast my fate with the Jewish people?
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I have a certain sense, having read Chancellor Eisen's works, where he's going to be coming from in this lecture. But I think that everyone in our community really needs the opportunity to hear him. He is an important, very, very important person in terms of the present and the future of the American Jewish community, and specifically conservative Judaism. I'm sure you agree with me. We would urge you, encourage you to be with us Monday night. It's going to be a very, very enlightening lecture and presentation, and so please try to join us, be here with us, and I think you'll walk away having said that you spent an evening listening to really one of the very wise and brilliant people who are forging the future of American Judaism.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So with that in mind, we'll look forward to the next interesting topic that we have in mind, and we look forward to seeing everybody on Monday night. And until then, Shabbat Shalom and Lehitraot.
Shabbat Shalom, Lehitraot.